When we talk about relieving joint pain, most people instinctively reach for a painkiller. It's almost automatic: pop a pill, wait 15 minutes, and hope the aching fades. But here's the truth most people never hear: painkillers don't solve anything. They're like turning off a fire alarm while the flames keep burning in the next room. They quiet the signal, but the underlying problem continues to grow, and this is exactly where vitamin K2 becomes such a game changer. It doesn't aim to numb the pain, it addresses why that pain is happening in the first place. Joint pain is often the result of a slow, silent process happening inside the body, the gradual buildup of calcium in places it absolutely does not belong. Over time, calcium begins to accumulate in the joints, the cartilage, even the surrounding tissues. What should be flexible becomes rigid. What should glide smoothly begins to grind. This calcification process is one of the most overlooked contributors to chronic joint discomfort. And while most people think they just have bad knees, aging hips, or worn-out joints, the real problem is that calcium has been drifting into the wrong places for years, completely unnoticed. Vitamin K2 steps in as the director, the traffic controller, the guide that tells calcium exactly where it needs to go. Without enough K2, calcium behaves like a wanderer, depositing itself wherever it pleases. But with optimal levels of K2, the body becomes smarter, more efficient, and far better at protecting its joints. K2 activates specialized proteins, tiny biological switches, that physically move calcium out of your joints and into your bones, where it provides strength instead of stiffness. And this is not theoretical. This is measurable, documented science showing that K2 influences the structural health of the body at the cellular level. Imagine how different your joints would feel if the calcium-causing stiffness were gradually pulled away, if the pressure slowly lifted, if the tissues regained their ability to move, bend, and cushion. This is the kind of healing people often describe when they start getting enough vitamin K2. Not an overnight miracle, but a steady improvement. Less grinding, less morning stiffness, less of that dull ache after sitting too long. It's the kind of progress painkillers can't touch because they never engage with the source of the problem. And here's something most people don't realize. Inflammation often increases when calcium deposits are present. The body sees these deposits as irritants, almost like tiny internal splinters. So what do? We take Advil or similar medications to ease the inflammation. But the irritant is still there. Vitamin K2 helps remove the irritant. By redirecting calcium, it reduces the internal triggers that spark inflammation in the first place. This means less heat, less swelling, and less pain naturally and without the cycle of dependency that often comes with chronic pain medication. So when we say vitamin K2 can be better than Advil, it's not hype. It's because Advil hits the volume button on the pain, while K2 helps rewrite the story. And when you address pain at the roots, everything changes. You move differently. You stand stronger. You regain the confidence that your body can support you. Not just today, but years from now. This is where true healing begins. One of the most powerful, misunderstood roles of vitamin K2 is its ability to guide calcium with incredible precision. Most people assume that simply consuming more calcium will strengthen their bones, but what they don't realize is that calcium without direction is like construction material dumped in the middle of a road instead of delivered to the building site. It not only fails to support the structure, it blocks movement and creates problems. This misplaced calcium is the hidden culprit behind stiff joints, brittle mobility, and even hardened arteries. And here's the part that surprises nearly everyone. It's not a lack of calcium that weakens bones, it's a lack of vitamin K2 telling calcium where to go. Inside the body, there are proteins waiting to be activated, proteins whose entire purpose is to shuttle calcium into your bones and keep it out of your soft tissues. But these proteins stay switched off unless vitamin K2 flips the activation switch. Without K2, the calcium you eat has no clear instructions. Some ends up in the bones, but plenty ends up where it shouldn't be. Over years, this leads to calcification in the joints, making them feel tight and less forgiving. It leads to calcium deposits that feel like grit or grinding during movement. It leads to the kind of stiffness people blame on age, when in reality it's an issue of nutrient imbalance, not time passing. Now, imagine this from your body's perspective. Calcium is arriving daily through your diet, waiting for direction. If vitamin K2 is present, that calcium is ushered straight into your bones, strengthening your legs, hips, and spine with every passing day. Your bones become denser, your structure more stable, and your joints stay supple because calcium isn't allowed to settle there. But if K2 is missing, calcium drifts like dust in the wind, landing in places it was never meant to rest. This is how joints lose their ease, how flexibility disappears, and how the body becomes more prone to pain and rigidity. Science has shown us that people with adequate vitamin K2 levels tend to have healthier bones, smoother joints, and significantly lower rates of calcification. It's not that their bodies produce less calcium. It's that their bodies place calcium where it enhances mobility rather than restricts it. This difference, though subtle on a microscopic level, is massive in how it feels day to day. Someone with proper K2 levels stands up from a chair with ease, walks with stability, and maintains strong legs well into older age. Someone without enough K2 may feel their knees catch, their hips tighten, or their stride shorten over time. This directional power of vitamin K2 is one of the greatest advantages it has over temporary pain relief options. Because when you take something like Advil, it doesn't care where calcium is or what your bones need. It doesn't teach your body how to function better. It simply quiets the discomfort for a few hours. Vitamin K2 teaches your body to organize itself, to build in the right places, and to protect the areas that need freedom and movement. It's an internal guide that helps your body function the way it was meant to. Strong bones, flexible joints, and a foundation that supports you without compromise. When you realize that a single nutrient can determine whether calcium becomes your greatest ally or your biggest obstacle, it becomes undeniable. Giving your body this guidance is one of the most important choices you can make for lifelong mobility. When we think about strong legs, most people focus on building muscle, squats, lunges, cardio, stretching. And while those things absolutely matter, they only address part of the equation. True leg strength begins beneath the muscles, at the level of bone density and structural support. Without strong bones, the strongest muscles in the world can't create true stability. This is where vitamin K2 quietly shines. It's not just a vitamin in that helps you feel less pain. It's a nutrient that supports the actual framework of your legs, making them more resilient, more powerful, and far better equipped to handle the stress of daily life. Many people don't realize that as we age, we naturally lose bone density. It happens slowly, almost invisibly, until one day something feels off, standing up feels harder, walking uphill feels heavier, or balance doesn't feel as sharp. But bone loss is not an inevitable downfall. It's heavily influenced by nutrient patterns, and vitamin K2 is one of the key drivers that determine whether your bones are building up or breaking down. Without K2, the natural proteins that help lock calcium into your bones remain inactive. They're like workers standing around waiting for instructions. But with K2, these proteins spring into action, reinforcing your skeletal structure, especially in the legs where most of your daily weight and pressure is carried. The bones in your legs, your femur, tibia, fibula, the bones in your ankles and feet are designed to be incredibly strong. Yet they depend on continuous mineralization. Vitamin K2 supports this process by directing calcium into the bone matrix and helping create a dense, durable structure. This isn't just about avoiding fractures. It's about building legs that feel grounded, legs that support powerful movement, legs that help you stay active rather than slow down. When you have adequate K2, your legs respond differently to stress. Instead of wearing down from daily use, they grow stronger because the bone remodeling process is functioning the way nature intended. Every step becomes an opportunity to reinforce the structure, not weaken it. People often describe feeling more stable, more balanced, or simply more confident in their stride after supporting their bodies with proper nutrients. This is not placebo, it's physiology. Stronger bones create stronger movement. This becomes even more important if you're someone who loves being active or wants to stay active as you age. Whether it's walking, running, hiking, lifting, or simply keeping up with family, strong leg bones are the foundation of your freedom. When bones are dense and well mineralized, the muscles wrapped around them can work more efficiently. The joints between them move more smoothly, the ligaments supporting them stay under less strain. It's all connected, and vitamin K2 helps tie the entire system together. And here's the beautiful part. When your bones grow stronger, you don't just feel the difference. You see it in your posture, in your stamina, in your ability to move without hesitation. You regain the confidence that your legs can carry you through your day without fear of weakness, wobbling, or setbacks. That's the kind of strength that lasts, the kind of strength that gives you freedom. This is how you build legs that don't just look strong, but are strong at their core. When people describe joint discomfort, they often talk about the grinding, the popping, the stiffness that shows up most when they wake up in the morning or after sitting too long. What many don't realize is that much of this discomfort traces back to the health of their cartilage, the smooth, cushioning tissue that allows bones to glide effortlessly against one another. Cartilage isn't something you think about until it stops behaving the way it should. And because it doesn't have its own direct blood supply, it needs the right internal environment to stay healthy. This is where vitamin K2 quietly becomes one of the most valuable allies for long-term joint comfort. Over time, small shifts in calcium placement, inflammatory triggers, and repeated physical stress can slowly chip away at cartilage integrity. When calcium builds up in the wrong places around the joint, it doesn't just cause stiffness, it puts constant pressure on this delicate connective tissue. Imagine trying to bend a hinge that has grit stuck inside. It moves, but not smoothly. That's what happens when calcification begins to form around cartilage. But vitamin K2 helps counter this process at the source by preventing calcium from embedding itself in the soft tissue. When calcium is redirected out of the joint and into the bones where it belongs, the cartilage is freed from this unnecessary burden. As the body stops fighting these misplaced mineral deposits, the environment within the joint becomes calmer, less inflamed, and better able to maintain the smooth, flexible structure that healthy cartilage requires. People often describe this shift as feeling like their joints unclench, or like they can move without the internal scraping that once frustrated them. Vitamin K2 isn't repairing cartilage in a dramatic, overnight way. Nothing does that, but what it does is equally important. It protects cartilage by removing one of the biggest threats to its longevity. There's another layer to this that often gets overlooked. When the body is overwhelmed by chronic inflammation, cartilage begins to break down faster than the body can support it. Inflammation is a normal part of the healing process, but when it becomes continuous, fueled by calcium deposits, stress, or poor nutrient balance, it starts to dissolve the very tissues that cushion your joints. Vitamin K2 reduces one of the major internal triggers of inflammation, giving the body a chance to restore balance. When inflammation decreases, cartilage can maintain its structure, and when cartilage maintains its structure, movement becomes fluid again. That fluidity is something many people take for granted until it starts slipping away. The ability to bend, squat, climb, twist, these are movements that rely on cartilage being healthy. When that cartilage is nourished and protected, everything feels easier. Standing up doesn't require bracing yourself. Kneeling doesn't feel like a negotiation with your body. Exercise becomes something you look forward to instead of something you worry will leave you aching for days. This is the kind of change that builds confidence because smooth movement is a sign that your joints are supporting you the way they were designed to. Vitamin K2 plays a powerful role in helping your body protect that ease, that comfort, and that freedom of motion. And when your joints move smoothly, your life moves smoothly. One of the most overlooked truths in health is that nutrients don't work in isolation. The body is built on synergy on the way vitamins, minerals, and proteins interact with one another to create balance and strength. And when it comes to building strong bones, flexible joints, and a resilient frame, few partnerships are as powerful as the synergy between vitamin K2 and vitamin D3. These two nutrients operate like a coordinated team. One opens the door for calcium absorption, and the other guides that calcium exactly where it needs to be. Without both working in harmony, the system never reaches its full potential. Vitamin D3 has become incredibly popular in recent years, and for good reason. It helps the body absorb calcium from the digestive tract and pull it into the bloodstream. But what many people don't realize is that getting calcium into the bloodstream is only step one. The real question is, where does that calcium go next? Without proper direction, the calcium boosted by D3 can still drift into the arteries, joints, and soft tissues. This is where problems start: stiffness, calcification, and long-term damage. People often assume taking more calcium or more D3 is strengthening their bones, but without K2, it can actually cause the exact issues they're trying to avoid. This is why vitamin K2 becomes critical. When D3 brings calcium into the system, K2 takes over and makes sure it's delivered into the bones and teeth instead of accumulating where it causes pain and restriction. You can think of D3 as the nutrient that opens the floodgates and K2 as the nutrient that directs the flow. They are partners, each one amplifying the other's benefits. When both are present in proper amounts, the body becomes incredibly efficient at building bone density and maintaining joint mobility. The science behind this interaction is beautifully simple. Vitamin D3 increases the production of bone-building proteins, and vitamin K2 activates these proteins so they can latch onto calcium. Without K2, those proteins stay dormant. With K2, they become active tools that lock calcium into the bone matrix. This is what leads to strong legs, stable joints, and healthy aging. The bones don't just get denser, they get stronger in a way that actually supports daily movement and long-term vitality. What makes this synergy especially meaningful for joint health is the way it prevents calcium overload in the places where mobility matters most. When D3 and K2 work together, the body becomes far less likely to deposit calcium in the cartilage, the ligaments, or around the joint space. This means your knees bend more smoothly, your hips rotate more freely, and your ankles absorb impact without that sharp, jolting discomfort. Everyday activities, walking, climbing stairs, standing up from the floor, feel easier because the joint surfaces aren't being compromised by unwanted mineral buildup. And the benefits don't stop there. Stronger bones support stronger muscle engagement. Balanced calcium placement reduces inflammation. Proper nutrient synergy helps the entire body move with more confidence. People often notice they feel more grounded, more stable, and more comfortable in motion when both D3 and K2 are working behind the scenes. This is whole body alignment at a nutritional level, and it's one of the most important keys to long-term mobility. This is the kind of partnership that turns good nutrition into lasting strength. One of the most reassuring things about supporting your body with nutrients rather than relying on quick fixes is knowing that you're working with your body, not against it. Painkillers may offer a few hours of relief, and in moments when the discomfort is overwhelming, that temporary break can feel like a lifeline. But painkillers never change the underlying patterns in the body. They never rebuild strength, never support long-term joint comfort, never help the tissues or bones adapt in a healthier direction. All they can do is mute the signal, and because the source of the discomfort remains untouched, the cycle of pain and relief often becomes a habit, one that leaves the body no stronger than before. Vitamin K2 offers a very different path. Instead of numbing, it nourishes. Instead of providing a short-term escape, it supports the deeper structure that affects how your body feels day after day. This is why so many people describe it as offering a kind of relief that feels more genuine, more grounded, more lasting. It works slowly, naturally, and steadily, not by overriding your body's messages, but by helping your body correct the imbalances that lead to discomfort in the first place. When calcium is being directed into the bones where it belongs, the body begins to operate with a different kind of ease. The joints aren't overloaded with unwanted buildup, the tissues aren't constantly irritated by misplaced minerals. The legs feel more stable because the bones beneath them are being supported from the inside. This kind of shift doesn't require you to rely on pills every day. It doesn't come with the common side effects associated with frequent painkiller use, like digestive discomfort or stress on the liver. Instead, it creates an environment where stiffness naturally softens, mobility naturally improves, and strength naturally builds. There's a certain peace that comes from knowing your body is being fortified rather than temporarily soothed. When you give your body what it needs to maintain balance, you begin to notice fewer bad days and more comfortable mornings. You feel more freedom in your hips and knees after sitting for long periods. You find that activities that once felt draining, climbing stairs, bending down, walking longer distances, start to feel a little easier. These changes might be subtle at first, but they accumulate, and unlike a pain pill which resets the moment it wears off, the benefits of proper nutrient support layer on themselves over time. Another important piece of this is how your mindset changes when your body feels supported. Instead of bracing yourself for pain or planning your day around it, you begin to trust your movement again. You take steps with more confidence. You choose activities you once avoided. You feel more capable and connected to your own strength. This isn't just physical, it affects your motivation, your energy, even your outlook on what's possible. When you're not fighting discomfort all day, your body can focus on healing, rebuilding, and thriving. The beauty of supporting your body with vitamin K2 is that it doesn't demand dramatic effort or complicated routines. It's a simple, natural step that empowers your body to do what it's built to do, maintain stability, reduce unnecessary strain, and move with harmony. It gives you the kind of relief that lasts because it's rooted in strengthening, not suppressing. This is the difference between temporary comfort and true, lasting support.